flag.
Start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Adequate notice of the meeting to be held by the Township of Ocean Board of Education on Tuesday, September 21st, 2021 at 8 p.m. has been provided in accordance with the requirements of Chapter 231 Public Laws 1975. Notice of the meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Administration Building, 163 Monmouth Road, Oakhurst, New Jersey. All Ocean Township District Schools and Transportation and the School District website on September 17th, 2021. Notice of the meeting was transmitted by the Asbury Park to the Asbury Park Press and the New Coaster newspapers on September 17th, 2021. Notice of the meeting was filed with the Municipal Clerk, Township of Ocean on September 17th, 2021. Mr. Janneron, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Beal,
Here.
Mrs. Gilman,
Here.
Ms. Hayes,
Here.
Mr. McGovern,
Here.
Ms. Paralamas,
Here.
Ms. Talarico,
Here.
Mr. Tortorella,
Here.
Mr. Weinstein. Here. And Ms. Fuller.
Here.
Okay, we have 9 members present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Janneron. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for our regular meeting. It's nice to see people back in the room with us. Welcome, everyone who's joined us in person tonight, and welcome to everyone who's joined us from home. Our second week of school, so excited to hear updates from Dr. Stefankowitz about how things are going. We have some really valuable presentations that are going to be coming from our administration tonight as well. I just want to take a moment to note that tonight is a little bit of a sad night for us here on the board. Tonight is Mr. Janneron's last board meeting before he retires. After 19 years, correct, of service to Ocean? In Ocean, yes, in Ocean Township. So we want to take a moment just to thank Ken for everything he's done for this district. It is really so much that everyone does not see that happens behind the scenes, and how much work Ken has done and does for these meetings and to run the district. It's really remarkable. And I think I just want to take a moment to thank you for everything that you've done for the district. My years that I've been on the board, it's been such a pleasure working with you, and thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Amen. No, it's
Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely. And if any, I'll extend to my fellow board members if anyone wants to take a moment to say anything for Ken.
I'll just
you the
add, I
best,
mean,
Ken.
oh, sorry. Go
And
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I wish you the best. Enjoy.
Ken, you've been great to work with. I don't think I can say it any better than Janice, but you've been a great business administrator and just a great guy to be a part of, and I think you do some great work here. So thanks.
I'll just say, I told you when I came in, and I always get emotional, but I'll get emotional over Ken. I'm only here tonight for one reason. I shouldn't be here tonight, but I'm here for you. And I just want to say, there were many times over my 8.5 years here that I've leaned on you with phone calls, both in frustration as a board member at times, and you were able to give me some great guidance through it all. Plus, working with you last year as president, I got to know you on a different level, which was great. And all of our times, all of us down in Atlantic City was always a great time. So we will miss you. I will miss you. I will know how to get in touch with you though, which will be good. And I thank you for everything you've given to this district and to your board members, to your administration, to everybody. And I'm excited for your family to get you back in a much bigger form, I think, once this is done.
Literally.
And I would just like to add as well, I said a lot of what I had to say the last time, but we were fortunate here in Ocean Township to have the best of the best. And Ken Janneron, you are the best there is. And you left a legacy here that is going to be really hard to fill. So I will miss you terribly. We came on about the same exact time, and we've been through a lot together. So this is a really hard break for me, but as Amy said, I too know how to get in touch with you. But I will. So you will be missed, and thank you for your service to Ocean Township.
Thank you. Thank you. Just, I will say 2 things, or a couple of things, I should say. I've been very lucky in my professional career to work in in Ocean Township. It's it's a special place. Some of you or most of you or all of you know that I grew up in Ocean Township. I graduated high school in Ocean Township, and it's been just rewarding to work my last 19 years. It's approaching 29 years in the school business, the business of school business, as they say. And it's really been great. The people here, of course, the teachers are what makes everything work with the students and the parents, and really the administrative staff here are really, really great people, and the board too. And the relationship that the board and administration has had in the past and going forward has been really one of the strong points of the district. So, that's something that I'm proud of. And the board members that I've gotten to know and consider my friends that, I hope to see for many years to come. And just, and really and also all the support staff that our job is to help the teachers do what they do. And from custodians to maintenance to food service to the business office, and I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody, technology, bus drivers, and just, some of the best people you'll ever want to meet, down to earth, hardworking people that will do anything for this district and to make it better. And everyone has, great intentions. It doesn't mean that we don't disagree at times with, from everyone. But that's part of it, and that's part of what makes it better. But in the end, sometimes that, it makes it better. You can agree to disagree, but everyone can really learn from disagreements and input from different people and different things. And we make things better, and that's always been the goal. And hope I've been able to do that as best I could. So thank you all. It's been a great ride.
Thank you, Ken. Don't be too mad at us. Could have been worse.
Embarrassed me.
Just wait till later. Thank you. At this time, so happy to have new student representatives with us and back here in person. Tonight we have joining us Ms. Rio Jones and Ms. Marilena Isophides.
Good enough.
Thank
good
you.
enough.
All right, thank you. Ladies, if I can ask you, if you're going to give your reports, if you can step to the microphone, please, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Hello? Oh,
It's okay.
It's all.
It's just to record you. Thank you.
so I'm so thankful that now we're back in person and nothing's virtual anymore. And at Ocean Township High School, we've opened up all like clubs, and there's also late buses for those that can't get picked up from school. And all the clubs started, even like newer clubs, and even people are trying to even start even more clubs, which I find really great for the school. We have like volleyball club, math club, FCA, Italian club, Spanish club, French club, science club, mock trial, character club, yearbook, future teachers, like if you want to become a teacher later on. And for like sports and stuff, the boys for varsity soccer, they have like a winning streak of 4. And our football hasn't been doing the best so far. They've lost.
Close games.
Close, yeah, very close.
2 or 3, last
Yeah.
minute, 2 out of 3. Last week wasn't good, but before that.
And we want to have like more events in person, but due to like COVID, we're trying to have like outside events. We're trying to have homecoming and have it outside in the turf. And we're just, I made a proposal, and we're just trying to find like a date and be able to have that so we can all socialize again in person. Because everyone, like if you're home, like you get down, you're not like the same as you used to be. So it's good to socialize and have like in-person stuff and people like get to know each other. And also for like Spartan Olympics, we're gonna like try to push that into the spring so we don't have to like worry about a lot of COVID regulations.
Thank you.
All right. I'm also really thankful to be here, and I'm in the drama club, and I like participate a lot in like the fall shows and the spring shows. And right now we're doing the Christmas Carol, and the cast list comes out tonight, and our first rehearsal is tomorrow. And I'm really excited for that. And I know a lot of students are really happy to be in person to like perform our show. Like last June is when we performed Chicago, the musical, and that was really fun because everyone got to see it in person. And like there's a live audience and everything, so it's nice. And then choir, I know they're trying to make a show choir, which is like you could sing like popular songs and dance to them as a like after school club, I'm pretty sure Mr. Carnesian wants to do. And he's also trying to make a trip happen, like a day trip for the choir students, because they've been trying really hard and they really deserve it. So he probably like make them perform at like, I don't know, like he's saying Washington, but we're not sure yet. I don't know. And then for band, we're doing winter songs right now, and the marching band is doing really good this year in the football games. And also they're trying to do a trip because of COVID. It's a little difficult for them to go to Disney or like Tennessee, which they normally do. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you both very much. We look forward to
Awesome.
seeing you at future meetings. Thank you. Makes me think about when we have students and to recognize achievements and things like that.
Oh, that's
So,
coming.
I
That's
can't wait.
coming.
That-
We're
that's
doing
great.
that, no doubt.
Janice, tell them they don't have this.
Yes. Oh, and if ladies, if you have things to do tonight, you can be excused. Yes, you can be excused. We'll be here for a while. I'm sure you have many things to do. Thank you very much. It's nice
Bye.
to meet you. Bye. Thank you. All right, then we'll move ahead, moving on, Dr. Spankowitz, superintendent's report. please.
Okay, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Unlike the rest of you, I'm thrilled to death that Ken is leaving. He's really been very difficult to work with over the years, and I say good riddance, so that's all I want to say. about that.
Nice.
So,
He's joking, Ken, he's joking.
it's a joke. I've been begging him for the last.
We have decided to import in principals or supervisors to talk sports with you throughout.
Yeah,
the
well,
next
that's
couple
a
of
no,
weeks.
no, I got plenty, we got plenty, so it's all good. All right, so a couple things real quick, and then we have some presentations tonight. So I mentioned at the last meeting that, we have started the process of gathering information based on the Executive Order 253 as to who's vaccinated, who's not. He'll have to go through weekly testing, so we started that process. We've asked our staff to let us know their status by October 8th. And we have not heard back from the state yet regarding our request for in-district testing, but we believe that will be coming soon. And so more on that. We've heard from about a little over half of our staff so far. And, once we hear from everybody, we'll be able to kind of give you some overall figures as to where we are and how many people are vaccinated, how many need testing, and so on. All right. Strategic plan, we've been talking about that this is the year for us to come back for our strategic plan, that we're in year 5 of our initial. And, I think we're all in agreement that, start getting our new one together, planning for our new one. We'll, so we can hit the ground running next year is the way to go. I've spoken with Kathy Weinkoff. It's our intention to bring school boards back in to repeat that process. And we are right now looking at March, April, and May for the 3 dates that one day in March, one day in April, one day in May, probably the early part of the month. I'll get the exact dates to you folks probably by next month. And with a deliverable of the plan sometime in the summer. So that's the goal. That will, I think, also go nicely because as we've talked about, and Melissa will spend some time on this in a little bit, we are involved with the school climate, the Rutgers School Climate Transformation Project. Dow Avenue has been involved since last year. The rest of the district will start to be involved starting this year. So we'll be having climate surveys going out. Melissa's going to report tonight on last spring's climate survey, but we'll have another one going out between October and December district-wide by school. And so that'll be really great information that we can use as part of that strategic planning process. So that'll really help us. We'll hear from kids, or from parents, or from staff. That doesn't, anybody who wants to participate in those March, April, May meetings still can, but this will give us a lot of great data to go
Yeah.
off of. So it'll be good. All right, so those two things. And so after that, so we have two presentations this evening. I'm going to ask Ms. Weldon to come up first. And Ms. Weldon's going to, every year, typically in September, we have a lot of student assessments data that we go over. Well, as you know, we didn't have student assessments last year in most areas. We didn't have the NJSLA, but we did have some. We had APs, we had SATs, there was access testing, which is for English language learner students, our DLM, which is the state test for some of our special education students. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Weldon and go from there.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Good evening, everybody. Mary Ann, if you could please share the presentation, that would be great. As Dr. Spankowitz said, I'm going to present the assessment data that we have thus far this year. A few years back, the practice was, the state requirement was to present annually all of the assessments for an entire school year at one time to the Board of Education. Right before we went into school closure for the pandemic, that practice had changed. And now every time we take an assessment within a window of time after that assessment, I'll be coming to present the results of that assessment. So today we have, as Dr. Stepankowitz said, Mary Ann, you could advance the slide, please. We have access for ELL results, dynamic learning maps, advanced placement, and the SAT. And then some other information about graduation and the Start Strong assessments. We don't have those results. We are just beginning that test on Thursday. But because it's new, I thought it was important to share with you and with parents a little bit of information about that assessment. Okay. Okay, you can go forward, Mary Ann. We're going to start with the access for ELLs, which our students took last April. You can advance again. And that doesn't seem to be loading. Try maybe.
Yeah, please give me just a moment.
Okay, no problem. Take your time. There we go. And we're back. I think I'm on slide 4. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So the WIDA Consortium produces the access test. They do a number of other things. They are a great resource to districts across the country who are supporting students who are learning English for the first time. And they produce the assessments that our students take. In addition, like I said, we use the WIDA Consortium and their resources to help guide teachers in making instructional decisions for ELL students in their class. Our supervisor of ELL uses information from the results of these assessments based in connection with the WIDA resources to best guide teachers' instruction and help them understand what their ELL students can do, can be asked to do, can be expected to do in the classroom. So let's look through some of these results here. Thank you. the access is scored on 6 levels, 1 being the lowest, 6 being the highest: entering, emerging, developing, expanding, bridging, and reaching. You can advance, Marianne. Students receive a score, a proficiency level score is a whole number followed by a decimal. The whole number reflects the student's proficiency level, the 6 levels I just read to you, and the decimal point reflects how far the student has progressed within that level. So for example, a student with a score of 3.7 is at a proficiency level 3 and is over halfway toward achieving proficiency level 4. A score of 4.5 indicates eligibility for removal from the program. Removal from the program is based on a rubric that teachers have a great deal of input on: report card grades, student performance, time in the program, and the access score. But a student, before they can be removed, must earn a 4.5 on the access assessment. Okay, you can advance. So because that is the exit score, the acceptable exit score, we look at our results based on that 4.5 score. So what you're looking at is percentages of scores that are above or equal to 4.5 in each grade level. Okay, so for our elementary results, in kindergarten, 14.3% of our students scored 4.5 or above. In first grade, 4.4%. Second grade, 13.8%. Third grade, 9.1%. And in fourth grade, 16.7% of our students scored 4.5 or above.
Do you want us to ask questions now, or do you want us to ask questions?
It's up to you. I'm happy to stop and
So what is it? So maybe you could tell me what that means. Like, how do we interpret this? Are we interpreting?
so that percentage of our ELL population at that grade level is now being considered for exit. In the last few weeks, we've been working with the teachers to consider the students for exit from the program. So they would stop taking
No,
an
I
ELL.
understand, I understand what
Oh,
it says. What I mean
okay.
is, what are we supposed to glean from that? Is that a good percent, a bad percent? Is it, because it seems like a low percentage of,
Right.
right? So, and I'm also kind of taking into account that our average, a lot of, our old test scoring, district-wide test scores in certain aspects is low. So I'm trying to understand,
Sure.
is this low? Is this,
So this is, the state doesn't put out comparative data because ELL, well, I shouldn't say for this, because ELL is such an interesting population where students are coming in and out of the program at different times. So someone who could sit for this test may have been in our schools for a very short amount of time. They could have been in our program since kindergarten, and now they're a 4th grader, and they're still struggling to meet with success or exit from the program. So it really does vary from student to student. Our scores are usually right around here.
what is it? I'm trying to still understand it. Do we think it's good, not good? Like, so this basically says roughly 14% of the kids graduate out of the programs.
In kindergarten, if you're
Well,
looking
no, I
at
mean,
that,
just in general, when you kind of average it out, 16.7, 13.8 every year.
yes.
So is that,
And again, a student will stay in the program for more than 1 year, absolutely. Usually somewhere between 2 to 4, 5 years possibly. It depends on the age level. It depends on if they're new to the country. It depends if, other schooling, the schooling they've had before us, whether it was here in New Jersey, in the country, somewhere else. There are a lot of other factors. So I think what we do with Access primarily is dive into individual student results and provide our general education teachers with better supports. I will say that is an area where we have absolutely needed to improve upon in our district over the last 4 to 5 years. General education students, I think, general education teachers have struggled with how to best support ELL students in their class. So our supervisors and our administrative team have focused over the last few years on providing better professional development. We're looking at different structure of instruction, different ways to deliver that instruction, maybe different ways to schedule students. We've looked at shelter sheltered programs, sheltered instruction programs where we'd have dual language in the class. We've talked about piloting that. We were very close to piloting that last school year. We were in talks of doing it the year prior, and then we went into the school shutdown. So we've reconvened those conversations. Improving in this area is absolutely something we want to do, not necessarily because of the test scores, but because we want our professional staff to be better equipped to meet the needs of our ELL students.
I'm not sure where to go with that. It's like, I mean, I guess at some point there's an action plan.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in work, if I may, just add, you
Absolutely,
know,
please.
I think when you're working with ELL, you know, as Kelly said, it's not like, there's not an expectation that a very high percentage of students are going to exit the program every year per grade level. It depends on a variety of factors. You know, it depends, she said, you know, it depends on how long the student has been with you, what was their level, what was their English proficiency when they arrived. There's a lot of different factors. So, you know, I think what you're asking is, you know, how does 14.3% for kindergarten compare to statewide levels of kindergarten
well,
or something like that?
Or,
And that's not data that. we
And
get necessarily.
I went looking for that
Right.
deeper this year and asked at the county level and was told, for the reason I just told you, is because there's so much movement usually in those programs, or because you don't know that a student's been in our program, you know, an equal amount of time as someone else, even to compare students in our programs to each other would be unfair to the child if they have not been in the program for the same amount of time.
okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, Marianne, you can advance to the next slide. There are less than 10 students in every grade at Township of Ocean Intermediate School, so we do not report out on scores that are with 10 or less students. So instead, I combined the middle school grade levels together, and there's a 23% of the students who took the access scored a 4.5 or better at TOIS. Okay, you can go on to the next one, Marianne. Thank you. At the high school, we had in grade 9, just can't read that there, 8.3% of the students score 4.5 or better. 9.1% of our grade 10 ELL students scored 4.5 or better. At grade 11, no one scored 4.5 or higher. And in grade 12, we had too few students to report. Okay, so those are the results for the high school. Some of the things that are happening in our ELL population, okay, about 10% of the ELL population did earn the criteria to exit the program. During this next school year, they will be closely monitored and supported in our general education program because we are often mindful that they could struggle for their first year without that ELL class and that ELL teacher every day, daily period, supporting what's happening in the rest of their classes. So they will be closely monitored and supported. Each year, our supervisor of world cultures and ELL teachers provide extensive supports to our general education teachers to help the ELL students meet grade level expectations in all subjects. And this happens in both formal and informal ways. There will be professional development meetings, opportunities, resources shared out, but then there will also be the day-to-day, I'm struggling with this student, I'm not sure if he or she can do what I'm asking them to do. Can you help me? Can you support me? Can you teach me how to modify my lesson, my project, my assessment for this student in my class? So the supervisor and ELL teachers in all schools do support their teachers with those different types of calls for help. Okay. As you know, we present every year at the end of the year, the students that receive the seal of biliteracy in our district. This year was 24 students, and 7 of those students had been through our ELL program at some point in their education. Okay, Marianne, you can advance. Yes, sure, go ahead. Are there any other, I should say, are there questions about the access?
What are parents told? What's the communication throughout this whole process as kids kind of graduate, exit out, whatever you want to call it? Like, what's our communication with
Parents?
parents specifically, and assuming many of them might not have English as the first language too. So how do we communicate with them? And then what do we tell them throughout the whole year?
Okay, so for these assessments, there's an individualized student score report that parents will receive with resources, information, how to read this, how to interpret it. Throughout the year, we have a bilingual parent advisory committee that meets twice a year formally, and then there's an advisory committee that meets more often to help plan the two events a year, which is our bilingual parent night. Now, last year, those were on Zoom. Prior to that, those were in-person events. There were student presentations by teachers and administrators, that we also brought in other resources that we felt parents could benefit from. Teachers were there, translation services were available. In the smaller parent advisory groups, where we are really asking for parent input on what we should do, other services they may need, ways to support the rest of our parent population. Also asking those parents if they would be willing to be liaisons or ambassadors for us and help us bring in more parents. Those are held more often prior to the big events and whenever else is needed.
And my only other follow-up question is, I know we do Spanish, we're increasing our Portuguese translations for students and for parents. Do we do anything in Haitian Creole? And are we going to, how are we talking to our Haitian parents?
So we are using, right, we just spoke about this, and we speak about it all the time, right? That is a challenge for us, absolutely. So we use Google Translate in written communications. We explain to parents how to, translate a document if they need to themselves. We also ask siblings or parents, this is why we're trying to reach out more to parents in our district to be liaisons and possibly translators for us as well. But it absolutely, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, it is an area where we struggle.
In Haitian Creole?
In Haitian
specifically?
Creole,
Okay.
yes. Does
Thank
any,
you.
I mean, the principals deal with this maybe on more of a day-to-day basis than me, would you say? And Arabic as well. So are there did I miss something that we are trying to do that we, a resource or? Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
It's a lot,
Okay.
I know.
Okay, on access? Okay, moving on to the dynamic learning maps. This assessment was given last May. As you know, most of the assessments last year were canceled due to the pandemic. The NJSLA, which all students would take, was canceled, but the state did continue with access testing of our ELL population and dynamic learning maps, which is an assessment for our students with the most significant cognitive disabilities, for whom general state assessments are not appropriate, even with accommodations. So if we have special education students taking the NJSLA, we will provide them with accommodations in line with their IEP. The dynamic learning map is for students who, even with accommodations, the state assessments would not be appropriate. Okay? The DLM assessments offer these students a way to show what they know and what they can do in English language arts, mathematics, and science. DLM assessments also help parents and educators set high academic expectations for their students. Results from the DLM assessments are used to inform instruction and meet accountability requirements for reporting student achievement. Marian, could you advance, please? Okay, the DLM performance categories are emerging, approaching the target, at target, and advanced. Okay, those are the 4 levels, emerging being first level, moving up through to advanced level. If you could please advance, Marian. In our district, 19 students participated in the DLM assessment last year. Students from grades 3 through 8 and grade 11 participated in the assessment. Every grade level in our district has less than 10 students. Therefore, we cannot report the scores by grade level. The graph below is going to show you grade level, district-wide performance. District-wide performance. Okay, so you have emerging, approaching, at target, and advanced. The key is across the top, emerging in green. For our district, 53%, these are percentage scores, 53% of our students are emerging and 9% are approaching. we did not have any students scoring at target or advanced. In math, 74% of our students are emerging, 16% are approaching, 11% are at target, and 0% are advanced. I don't know if Ms. Zona is on or not, but we did have a brief discussion about this where, although I am not part of the process of determining whether or not a student takes the dynamic learning map or the NJSLA, she did indicate that if a student was performing at the advanced, at target or advanced level, they would start to be considered to sit for the NJSLA instead of the dynamic learning
She
map.
is on.
She is on, okay, so I think I quoted you correctly, Ms. Zona, but if you wanted to add to that, feel free. Good, I think that was, exactly the process that she explained to me in determining which assessment is appropriate for each student. Any questions about that?
How come ELA, it's only 62% or 62? Those are percentages, right? So where's the other 30% of kids?
I'm sorry.
Or am I
you're
looking at it wrong? Under ELA?
correct. Yeah, no, I see it.
Okay.
For 59?
I'm sorry, I must have made a
29.
mistake on that slide and now,
I can't see, it. I know.
I think it's 62, so we're.
Oh, yeah,
missing 30,
62.
yeah, I will correct that before I put that up there. I'm sorry. I
That's
don't
okay.
know it off the top of my head, but
Okay.
I see that is clearly an error.
Okay, thank you.
Can double check the data chart while I'm sitting here too afterwards. Okay, any other questions? Thank you for that. All right, advanced placement results. Marianne, if you could advance for us, please. Thank you. Okay, our students took advanced placement exams last year in May, our high school students. At the high school, we focus primarily on, or our highest priority, I should say, is on participation. We have had a number of years of initiative to encourage more students to take advanced placement courses. We feel strongly that their participation in the course, regardless of their test score, better prepares them for achievement in college and the rigors of a college class. So we strive to not only recommend students for advanced placement courses, but to waive in students who request to take advanced placement courses, and also to look for students who may not have been recommended and may not request, but are showing signs of performance that would be in line with success in an AP course. Okay, access and opportunity for all students is our goal. Students can be recommended, I just said this, recommend or request AP classes. Okay, we focus on also our underrepresented subgroups to encourage those students to take our classes. Okay, all students enrolled in AP courses take the AP exams. We require that the students take the test. The AP test fee is approximately $96 per exam, and the district pays for these exams. Go ahead, Irene.
So every one of these 254 students who took 455 exams was in an AP class. Or if I just decided I felt like taking the AP in language lit, I could take the exam.
No.
I would have to be in an AP class. Is
You
that
can,
correct?
but you just won't pay for it, right? Because anybody can take it.
Well, not-
No one last year.
Volunteer to do it. Yeah.
And typically they don't. We typically do not have students who are.
Who just
taking,
on their
let's say,
own.
English 4, they don't just take AP Lit on their own, that we have to go through guidance and that.
Technically, you can.
Right.
But it's not typical that it happens.
Correct.
So they don't have to achieve a certain score to get into an AP class?
A score on the AP exam, they're not usually,
Well, I mean, just an academic score, because, okay, so you have anybody who wants to take an AP class, takes an AP class. And having taught those, I know how rigorous the work can be. So if those students don't achieve 4 semesters of passing or above passing, they're still allowed to take the AP exam just to see what an AP exam is like.
I would say it's rare, probably has never happened, a student who's failing at a level below AP is asking to go into AP, or that we are suggesting they could be successful in an AP. So yes, a student would have to be demonstrating a certain level of performance, but if they are, and they are motivated to challenge themselves and take an AP course, it is our position not to stand in their way, but to encourage, if they are showing certain levels of performance, that to encourage them to take that course.
And those elements of performance are previous grades from the year before?
Well, we have we have 27 subject areas, so many of them are what we would consider elective courses in elective subject areas. So in some of those, there is not a preceding course to really look at. There's overall grade performance of the student.
So it seems that our goal has changed, that it's no longer to get a 4 or 5 toward college credit, since most of the graph scores show 3 or below. Our score, or our goal seems to be just let everybody try the exam and see how they do. It's no longer.
I
to
think
try
our
to
goal
get
is twofold.
a higher percentage of 4s and 5s.
Yeah.
toward college
Not
credit.
at the sake of holding students out of rigorous coursework that we think help better prepare them for
Yeah,
college.
the goal isn't about taking a test. The goal is about allowing students to challenge themselves in advanced coursework. The research is very clear that students who take advanced coursework will be more successful in college regardless of the score they get on an AP exam. Obviously, kids who get 4s and 5s tend to do better, but kids who take a course and take the test and may not get 3, 4, or 5 still are far better off than kids who in college in terms of success than kids who don't take AP exams at all. So the access.
AP courses. You said AP exams.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and think of what, if kids take
Participation in the
if
course.
kids take the course, they are far better off than kids who don't take the course. Correct. Is that
So-
why I messed up? Yes.
And preparing for
So-
the assessment as well. Preparing and
Correct.
taking the assessment is also you're right. I mean, just taking the course is better prepared for college than not. Taking the course and taking the test is even better than just taking the course. These are all better indicators of college success, college readiness and college success.
So you consider these scores an anomaly for last year, since looking at all subject areas, they were down with a
Yeah.
few exceptions.
I think it's difficult to make assumptions on last year's data, period, but I still don't discount it. I think it's important information. I think the reports that we get give us good information about instruction, certain course units that we, hit the target or did not hit the target. Instructionally, what needs to shift, what supports may a teacher need. I think, I don't discount the data. I'm not sure if it's an anomaly or not. I really don't. I would know more next year and the year after that. We had less students participate than the year before. They were scheduling while at home in a school shutdown, deciding whether or not to take AP courses, that type of thing. So I'm not sure. They were home half of the year. There are a lot of indicators, but I certainly don't want to discount the results. They're important for us to look at, use, understand, and improve upon.
Is there any situation where the final grade is based on their score on the AP exam?
No. We've looked at that
So
many
all this-
times.
so all
We've
this
looked at it many, many, many times. Students do exceptionally well on their report card grades in those courses. They care very much how their transcript looks when they are applying for college. It matters to them greatly. They have told us that. We see it when we cross-reference AP scores with report card grades. The score, the grades are high. It is important part of their application for college. I think students do try on these exams, but I do think sometimes a senior in May taking an exam, there could be other factors. There's a lot that goes into this. A student who's earned credit in an English lang course, but took English lit because it looks good on their transcript, knows that most colleges are not going to give them 3 credits for English lang and 3 credits for English lit. They're applying to colleges that don't give credit. They are applying to colleges that only give credit for 5, and they believe that to be beyond their reach. So
Yeah, I know. My two girls took all those classes, and some classes, that they were going to sit for the AP exam, they knew they weren't going to be a chemist. right? So it wasn't.
Right,
just,
but they took the
our-
course because it was a good course for them to take. It prepared them for college. So we see all of those things.
Can I ask something about Kelly proceeding that our questioning, because we can see the presentation, our questioning's gone beyond what the public's had a chance to see yet in terms of the actual score results. So maybe let's let Kelly catch up to where some of our questions are.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong slide. Okay, participation, 254 students, 455 AP exams in 27 subjects. You see on the right there, the breakdown of the number of students per grade level and what percentage of the class that represents. So 41% of our seniors took an AP class, 41% of our juniors took an AP class, 13% of our sophomores and 4% of our grade 9 students took an AP class last year. Marianne, could you advance? Thank you. Scores range from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest score. And as you see, we had 6% of our exam scores were a perfect 5, 18% were at 4 or 5, and 45% of our results were 3, 4, or 5. Okay, in the next few slides, you see a breakdown of subject scores. What you're looking at here is a 3-year comparison where it exists of the mean score. So the AP in 2D art was given for the first time last year, so you do not have 3 years of comparison. You only have 1 year of the mean score. The number of students taking that exam was less than 10, so we do not report how many that is, but we are sharing with you the mean score, okay, the participating number of students. And you'll see that n less than 10 in a few different places in the presentation. And you are looking at mean scores over 3 years for all subject areas. If a row is grayed out, it is because no one took that assessment that year, or we did not offer it either, or in some cases, it may be student enrollment. In some cases, it may be that we did not have the course yet. Okay, I'm gonna advance. Go ahead, Marianne, you can advance to the next slide. Give everyone a chance to take a look at that one. So just a little slower, Marianne, if you would go back to the comp sci as the first one slide up.
22.
What are we comparing the mean score to? A 5 or a 4? Like, what are we comparing it to?
Yes, it's an average and it's on a 5-point scale.
So say like English Lit 2019, 3.05 out of 5. Is that right?
Score is a 5.
Yeah, the average of all the scores for that
Average of all the
assessment,
scores.
the average of all I'm sorry, English slang you're looking at, or English?
Whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just
English
picking.
Lit, there were 19 students took exams.
Okay.
The average of all 19 scores was 3.05.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, if you advance, please. Okay, go on to the next slide. Right, and the final slide there. Okay, the next set of data that you're looking at is the score distribution in percentages. So how many percentages of 5s, the percentage of 4s, percentage of 3s, percentage of 2s, percentage of a score of 1 for each subject test that had more than 10 test takers. So the courses that had less than 10 test takers are not here. They're not shown here. The ones that you see are the courses that had more than 10. Or 10 exactly. And in some cases that is the case. Okay, and Marianne, if you scroll to the next one. Okay. And if you continue on. Again, we talked about participation. So now you're looking at 5 years of participation data and the subgroups here. Okay, so our Black participation, you see it from 2017 in green, going towards the right to purple 2021. Some fluctuation there, more or less even. Our Hispanic population, 2017 was at 12%. rising to 18% this past year. Our multiracial population, 2.4% in 2017, some fluctuation last year, 3.8%. And our white population starting at 67% in 2017 to 63% last year of our test takers, right?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Was there a point in time where prerequisites were no longer required? For example, a student who wants to self-recommend.
Was there a time when that was not allowed? Now it's not required necessarily. Like I said, we make an informed decision with the student input, parent input, guidance counselor, a look at grades. It's not just.
But was there a point in time between 2017 and 2021 where there were?
Students could not just recommend themselves in?
Correct.
I would say that the opportunity to go into the classes has greatly increased in the last 5 years.
So in 2017, they could still self-recommend.
They could, but they may have faced a harder challenge to get in. Accurate? Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I feel bad. Ms. Hayes, would you like to ask your question? So I
I have a bunch, so
Okay,
I can
okay.
wait till you're done with the AP
Okay.
stuff.
All right, very good. Okay, subgroup participation, next slide. Okay, this is, we're looking here at a total of our subgroup populations. So again, over 5 years. So if you see, this is Black, Hispanic, and multiracial combined. The total of those populations in 2017 was 19.4, and in 2021 was 26.1%. So growth of participation in our subgroups over 5 years.
Can I add one thing? And just, I think, Shawanda, just to answer your questions. 2014, if I'm not mistaken, Dawn, we were right around 8 to 10%. So to answer your question in terms of the last couple of years, you see it's been 19, 20, 25. We really started opening up the classes 2016, 17, 18, so it's really grown quite a bit since 2014, 2013.
Also, block scheduling, the shift to block scheduling allowed more opportunity for students to take another course in their schedule. Prior to that, they only had 7 course choices. Block scheduling allowed them to have 8 course choices, and students were filling another period. Some of them were opting to take an AP course to round out their transcripts. And some of them would opt for some of the elective APs. Others would also take, in the course of science, math, social studies, English, AP courses, if they were appropriately prepared. Because of block scheduling, students were also able to accelerate in mathematics much faster, and that provided the opportunity for them to take AP math courses, where previously the course progression did not allow for that for certain students. And block scheduling changed that, made that an opportunity for our students. Okay. All right, go ahead, Denise, sorry.
Kelly, do you know how many AP courses we have this year? Is it still 27 or did it drop?
So it's usually right around there. It sometimes depends. Some of the tests are like macro and micro. And if a student takes both parts, that adds to it.
Economics.
Okay.
Macroeconomics, microeconomics, that happens sometimes in the Calc BC. If the students sit for the AB portion, they're in the BC class, but they can take the AB subset test. So sometimes it depends on that. It's usually right around the same. Can you?
And sometimes do enrollment.
Yeah, did it? I'm not sure if any did not run this year.
Last year, I think they only.
You're asking about this coming year, the year
Yeah.
we're in now.
Yeah, right now.
Do you know in scheduling over the summer, Dawn, if anything did not run?
AP music theory is not running this year.
Okay,
I think that's
just the one.
We did pick up one because through our Spartan Schools program, we're now running AP Art Studio, but we're running 2 different, you can do 2D design, art and design, or 3D. And we actually have 2D students this year. So we're gonna have
Right.
a little extra.
So that would be one course, but running we'll end up with 3 exam results because of the different students
see.
participating in different threads.
Okay. And did you find that the enrollment decreased due to the pandemic into these AP classes?
I think it's a
this year?
combination of both, that definitely, and we have declining enrollment as well, so that's always a factor in some of our numbers.
So then you do feel that the pandemic kind of did play a role in the, aside from the fact that, you know, there are students that leave the district at the end of each year, but you do feel that students were reluctant to take these classes?
I think in general, there may have been some reluctance to schedule the classes. I also think that the amount of energy and effort that students brought to the AP class last year, or were even able to bring to it because of the, some days are remote, some days are in person, now we're hybrid, now we're all remote. That, fluidity in our schedule last year, I think certainly interrupted instruction.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, Marianne, if you could advance to the SAT, please.
So can we talk about AP now? 5 questions?
Sure.
And you know, I love your data and I appreciate when you come here and give us so much information. So I hope this does not come across as I am upset with you.
So
or
don't take this
anything.
the wrong way.
Yeah,
I
don't
got
take it
you.
the wrong way. And I took like 10 AP
I'm gonna move
classes.
this
Yes,
back.
I know. This is why I wanted to be able to see you. I was like, I can't see her. There's a square.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I know how exceptionally hard AP exams are, okay? So I preface that, and I know it's hard to teach them, and it takes a lot of time. But I have so many problems, and I'm very concerned with these scores. I said this last year before I got on the board, and everyone jumped on my throat for saying these scores were abysmal last year. And actually, these are worse this year than last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Last year, it was a shorter test because it was the first year of the pandemic.
Different test last year. Everyone was at home. So in March,
It was
in May,
online. It was online, right?
May of 2020, it was a completely revised, redesigned assessment.
So they
for-
slightly went up last year, smidge. We're back now. We went even down.
We did.
I don't think these scores are great. And it really concerned me. If I was a parent, my parents would have killed me if I had a 3. So, you know, it's obviously different families and kids, and there's so many different parameters that go into what scores are. So I have so many questions here. Why do we require that they take this test? And I brought this up in an email with Dr. Stefanowicz, so maybe this question is more for him. If a student, and to Jeff's point, if a student knows they want to be a criminal history major and they're taking AP chemistry because they're good at it and they know they're going to do good, but they know they're not going to get 10 credits from Penn State because that's where they're going. Why are we paying and why are we forcing students to take these
I
exams?
can answer that. I have a couple different answers to that. We
Sure.
have asked the AP teachers how they felt about a test optional approach. They were primarily opposed to it. I would say 95% of the teaching staff was vehemently opposed to test optional. They feel that the test and the goal of the entire class together working towards this end of course assessment improves the climate in the classroom, the culture of the classroom. You don't have half a class over here not paying attention to the test prep review questions or the exams that are like that because they're not preparing for this assessment. So that was one part. But we did have 1 or 2 teachers who were willing to hear us out on this because when we look at the results, we feel, and we question the same things you question. We compare the report card grades to it. We look at courses they had before the class. Why weren't they prepared? All these things. We go through all these questions. So we had 1 or 2 teachers willing to do this test optional, and we chose a course that had a large number of students that was more on the elective side, not a main math, science, social studies course. And of that, I would say maybe 70 kids in that enrolled at the time, 3 students opted for test optional.
Okay.
So 67 students opted to take the test in the beginning part of the year when we have to order the test. I think at that point, you have a 17-year-old not ready to make that
That's fair.
decision, whether or not
Mhm.
they want to sit for the test, but we have to order the tests. You know, we believe, we want to support our teachers. It's difficult to teach an AP class. It is not, there are not AP teachers waiting in the wings for an AP teacher to step down. So we want to support the AP teachers and help them have a classroom climate and culture that is manageable for them. But we, you know, I'm not saying you're not right. We look at these and question, what can we do? What should we be doing differently? Some of it are all the factors we talked about that we may not be able to control. Other things I think we can. We do send teachers to professional development. We send them to week-long trainings, a few teachers every summer to week-long trainings on AP. We carve out time during the school year for teachers to come out of regular department meetings or faculty meetings to focus on AP preparation work, to connect to other AP teachers in other areas. We have in the last few years supported teachers becoming AP readers and scorers for the College Board so that they can learn more about what student samples look like in the assessments, and they can be around other AP teachers from around the country and gain a better understanding of the assessments and bring some of that back. In the last couple of years, Dawn has had an initiative to get more than one teacher trained to teach an AP course so that within the building, an AP teacher has a support network of another AP teacher in the building to bounce ideas off of, to plan together with. That's difficult to do, but she has been able to do that in the last few years. So we do attempt different things, but I understand what you're saying.
And changing how you're doing something, I mean, that's got to be part of education, right? Like if you're looking at data over years and something's not working, you change it. But some of these scores have been an average of below 2 for like 4 years. So at what point do we either say the curriculum is, I don't even know, is wrong, the supports are wrong, the wrong students are taking it. Something's going on if 25 students don't get above a 2.
Well,
is it, because I even looked, I mean,
again, I believe
nationally, we do worse than the national numbers. So it's not just like an anomaly of this district.
But the
But I do
national
believe-
average would
sorry.
factor in districts that cherry pick the students that take their tests, and we don't cherry pick. And it's interesting because I think usually as a board, we're saying we want the most fulsome data, we want all of the information, and by having all of our students take the test, it provides the administration with the clearest, most complete look that they could possibly get as to what is happening in all of our AP courses, because we're not just saying the wrong kid took the course, so let's not have the wrong kid take the test. We're saying you chose to do this, we supported you in it, let's see how you did. And all of that factors into what happens in those courses going forward, not just by saying, we know these kids have a likelihood of scoring a 3 to a 5, so let's encourage them to take it. And hey, if you're not doing that great or you don't feel like taking the test, don't take it. We keep everyone on the same track towards success. And I think we judge success a little bit differently. It's course completion, it's participating in the test. And at the end of the day, right, getting a 1 or a 2 on an AP exam isn't going to, you know, it's not the destiny of your life being dictated by this. It's what we see it as part of the experience. And we could say we want to improve our test scores, so we start to cherry pick, but I think to me, that's kind of counter to what we say a lot about how do we assess our students and how do we really understand it? If we're only testing the right kids, not the, you know, whatever, the wrong kids taking the class or the test, we won't get that.
I'm not
But
saying,
the only thing the only counter to that is that the SAT scores are below average.
Yeah, no, I'm talking APs,
No, but I
right?
mean,
We're
no,
just
but I
on
mean,
AP
if
now.
you're basically saying the people who take the AP test are also the kids who take the SAT test, right? There's some correlation there, I would think.
But you're talking about.
and hold on a second. I'm not suggesting that we go
Yeah,
back
but
to
it's
cherry
not- it's not
picking.
really- I mean, then we're like at a 50% level for, as far as districts in the state.
We're
and
above
districts
the
in the
national.
country, right, where
We're above the national, slightly below the state.
Yeah. within a couple of points, so.
Right.
Okay, Miss Hayes, I'm
But
sorry.
yeah, no, I'm not saying that we should go back to cherry picking. I think our gains in our minority students taking these are fantastic. I'm saying in a perfect world, we should have both. And after many years of trying, I'm not getting how we don't have both. If we're trying all these new things and we're trying to get more and more minority students, more and more socially economic disadvantaged students to be taking them. So there's some kind of a disconnect to me that's not quite making it. And I had a couple more questions. Do we emphasize, or do kids know that they can get college credit? I mean, is that like driven home to them? That it's not just your teacher wants you to take the test, the school wants you to take the test, or because you're an AP, you have to take the test. I mean, they can save significant money by doing well on AP exams. Is that?
Students are well aware of it.
They are?
And
Okay.
when seniors particularly
Yeah.
sit for the exam, they have almost all of it already committed to wherever they're going.
You know, another interesting thing that's not in here, but if you look at our school performance reports, you see it too, is our participation in dual credit programs, which state average is around 20%, and at our school, it's 40%, which is tremendous. And in many cases too, a lot of that's within our Spartan schools. But a lot of the kids, dual credit is a great option for a lot of kids because it's college level coursework that isn't centered around one exam as to whether that credit's going to be offered or not. And so if a student passes the dual credit course, gets a, what is it, a C or better in most courses, they're getting that college credit regardless of, it's not dependent upon one exam. So that's another avenue a lot of our kids are taking, dual credit, which is another great option for kids. So, and a lot of these kids are doing the same thing. Kids are taking AP, they're taking dual credit. There's a lot of that going on. Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at our scores, I definitely think that we can say that they can be better. There's no doubt about that. We know by offering, by allowing a strong open access, having a strong open access policy, we know that in general, that's going to lower the means and the averages a little bit. We know that by requiring all the kids taking the test, that's going to lower the averages a little bit. We think we can absolutely improve in that area. There's no doubt about it. Last year in a very different test, right, it was 65% of the kids got 3, 4s, and 5s. This year it's 45. Usually we're in that, if I remember correctly, it's like 50 to 55 generally. So this was definitely a lower year than typical. Last year, and another atypical year was above average, right? So we definitely think there's room for improvement in terms of the scores, but I think our philosophy has been that we will sacrifice a little bit in score average for the number of kids who are going to be taking the classes, because we know the benefit, regardless of score, that kids get, the long-term benefits, regardless of score on the test, that kids get from being in the classes, taking the tests, and going through that rigorous college level coursework. So, work to be done, no doubt about it. And we have that discussion every year in terms of, should we, in other schools, a lot of schools do different things, whether they require it, don't require it. I mean, obviously, if we just said to the kids, okay, for the kids for you 100 and some odd kids who we think are going to get 3s, 4s, and 5s based on practice tests, what have you, and only those kids took the test, then our 3, 4, and 5 rate would be 95%, right?
That's not
So,
what we want.
right,
We
and
don't
that's-
want just those kids that will do good. I get that.
I'm sorry.
I get that.
Right,
We don't
exactly,
want-
right? So we know that we could
We want it
easily
all.
take that percentage and make it much higher, depending on how we, our practices and policies, whatever. So, I think that we have to find that balance, and maybe we're still struggling a little bit in the class level of providing the supports and making sure that all the kids, because we've let more kids in, that we can, continue to make sure that the level of rigor in the class is staying high and all those things. Now, Dawn has shared a lot of, she does a lot of analysis that even with open access, the course scores haven't changed all that much. So that's a good thing, because that tells us that the teachers are keeping that level of rigor. But that doesn't mean all those kids who are coming in are 3s, 4s, and 5s necessarily, right? So, one thing that, we've considered and talked about is having students pay, in Dawn, in my previous district, we used to have all students invest some cost, except for free and reduced lunch. All kids had to pay half of one test, regardless of how many tests. The feeling there was, at least it's a little bit of an
Incentive.
a personal investment. But we did hear a lot of feedback from that there are a lot of kids who are not free and reduced lunch, who are just over that threshold, that was a real struggle, and we never turned the kid away. So, even those students we would pay for, but, so there's things that we've talked about over the years to try to create a little bit of a different dynamic, a different little motivation. But I think to Kelly's point, that they're, especially for those kids in their senior year, most of them have made it into the college they've selected, by May, and remember, you're not getting results until July. So the kids are already graduated by the time they're seniors. I think for some of them, it's a very different dynamic compared to our juniors, who might be a little bit more score-minded, because,
That was just gonna be my last comment and question. You don't have to tell me now, but I'd be curious to see what the scores are for juniors versus seniors.
Sure.
And then what our total district spend has been. I've never heard of a district paying for these exams till I came here. I'd love to know a total spend over the 12 years we've been spending it. And then, I don't know if I was a senior going to some place, if I would even take my AP exam seriously, if I knew my school wasn't going to take it.
Yeah, that is
that is the
definitely one of the
consideration.
things that we talk about a lot, because we brought back kids from college. We've had
Right, but I would
focus
still
groups.
want those students to take that course and sit for that exam, because I believe then they would go to a university or college as an Ocean Township graduate and be better prepared for success in college. And we've heard that.
And in college level tests.
Anecdotally, we've heard that quite a bit.
Right.
Students coming back and saying, I used my junior year English paper, I used my senior year research paper in my freshman and sophomore years in college because the rigor was such. So I think there is a benefit to still having students, even if they're maybe not bringing their best effort to the test or not fully prepared for the test, because we encourage them to take the course. I still think it's better for the students
I think one of the
that they
greatest,
participated.
one of the greatest bits of data that exists is what's your college accepted, attendance rates, and then what's your college acceptance rates 16 months after they start. And ours are very strong. And I think that's an indication of what Kelly just said is, great, yes, individual AP scores, sure, absolutely, we get it. What is that translating to down the line? Is that translating to more kids going to school, more kids staying in school and graduating in 4 years, 5 years, compared to kids who don't make it, aren't retaining in school? And, those numbers for us are very strong. So, in many ways, I think that's the most important piece of data that we get. Because that's our goal, right? If we're to have kids be prepared for whatever the next level is outside of high school, whether it's college, career, or whatever it is, we want them to be successful and we want them to be prepared for that. And what we find is that when our kids go to college, they stay and they graduate. And I think our kids who go on to career are very well prepared, especially now with our Spartan schools and getting their industry certifications and things like that. That's the ultimate goal for us, I think.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Moving on to the SAT. We're looking at data for the cohort class of 2021. The SAT is a standardized test widely used for college admissions in the United States. It is produced by the College Board and is intended to assess college readiness. Students can earn 200 to 800 points on each section, evidence-based reading and writing and mathematics, for an overall score ranging between 400 and 1600. Please advance, Marianne. You see here the key content areas that are assessed on the SAT: words in context, command of evidence, essay analyzing a source, math that matters most, problems grounded in real world contexts, analysis in science and history, social studies, US founding documents, and the great global conversation. Please advance, Marianne. Okay, here you're looking at a comparison to the national score, the national score, the New Jersey score, and the high school, Ocean Township High School, which is in red. So let me just bring that up on my screen so I can see it as well. And then the overall score, and then the reading score and the math score follows. So the overall score, the national average was 1060, New Jersey 1125, and Ocean Township High School 1112, just slightly under New Jersey, but above the national. And same for both subject areas. National was 533 on the reading. New Jersey is 562, and Ocean Township High School 556 on the reading. And for math, 528 for the national, 563 for New Jersey, and Ocean Township High School 556.
Do you think you can get us like some period of time beforehand on how this is trending?
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay. Moving on to the next slides. Graduation assessment requirements. They have been going through revision year in and year out over the last few years because of the state changing the assessment required for graduation. Last year, many of the requirements were waived. The year before was the same. If you remember, prior to that, the direction the Department of Education was going in was stopped by court of law, which said that the course of action they wanted to take with their assessment protocols did not follow statute, and they had to redesign an assessment, an 11th grade assessment, because grade 11 was written into the statute. So the state has now done that, and we now have the outlook for graduation assessments through 2025. So you're looking at the class of 22, this year's senior class. They did not take an 11th grade assessment last year when they were 11th graders. So their graduation requirement is that they pass the top section of this is English language arts, bottom section is math. So for English language arts, they must pass the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, grade 10, which they did take back in 10th, when they were 10th graders, or they can pass it through an alternate test listed here, SAT, ACT, AccuPlacer, PSAT, ASVAB, or through the portfolio appeals process through the Department of Education. Same thing for math. The student would have had to pass the NJSLA in algebra or meet the cut score on one of these alternate assessments or pursue the portfolio appeals process. That's for the sitting senior class. If you could advance, Mary Ann, please. For the classes of 2023 through 2025, those students will, beginning this year, sit for the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment in grade 11. New assessment launching this year. Grade 11 students will take this year in March. They must sit for this exam. If they do not pass it, then they have two other pathways to meet their graduation assessment requirement. The pathways are meeting the cut score on any of those other assessments, or by the portfolio appeal process. And it is the same for mathematics, but students must take this grade 11 test. Now, these other tests, NJSLA Part 9, students are current 11th graders. Well, if they had full block, they would have taken this class. They would have already taken this test. So they may already have a passing score on their graduation assessment requirement. Even though they have that passing score right now, they must still sit for this test as an 11th grader. Keep in mind, many of them may sit for it knowing they don't need it to graduate, but they will have to sit for it or they cannot use that passing score that they have on the NJSLA, on the SAT, on the PSAT, which we as a district provide to all 10th and 11th graders, the ASVAB, AccuPlacer, we make all of those assessments available for our students. So it is possible that our 11th graders will have passed the other assessments, but will have to sit for this graduation proficiency assessment. Any questions about graduation requirements? Irene, I'm sorry, Ms.
Do
Skillman?
you know anything about this graduation proficiency test and how it compares with other assessments like the NJSLA? Is it?
Well, we're still taking,
Similar.
we are also still taking the NJSLA, fall block, regular spring administration and spring block, and the NJSLA in science in grades 5, 8, and 11. So the state released some of this information. A lot of it says further details to come. I don't feel versed enough to speak about the specifics at this time.
So when a parent chooses to opt out of standardized testing, they can't do that for 11th grade for graduation. They can do that for
That's right.
the younger grades.
They must sit.
So they
Well,
can-
we don't have we do not encourage opt-out. We are required to give this assessment. You come to school, you take the assessment. We really don't have what we had with Park 5, 6, 7
Right.
years ago.
That's
The
kind
opt-out
of,
has been-
that's kind of died down.
Right, that's died down because it has become a graduation requirement,
So when you-
some part of this,
When
but
you say
Because it's
sit
not the
for it,
park anymore, it's the
Yeah,
NJSLA.
but when you say sit for it, if a parent were adamantly opposed to standardized testing, they could tell Johnny, just sit there and don't answer any questions.
well,
They could. I'm
I
not
will-
saying we encourage that. I'm just,
absolutely. I mean,
I think you have to.
we've
Even
had in the
if it's
past
time.
where a student had to sit for something and they clicked too quickly through the assessment and the state voided the results and it did not count. So a student is to take the
required
test.
to make an effort and answer the questions and, okay. Okay, thank you.
I will apply what happened in the past that I am aware of to this. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm applying an example in the past to this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other graduation assessment requirements? Okay. Mrs. Conway, can you advance? Thank you. Okay, Start Strong. Again, I'm not presenting results of Start Strong right now, but I did feel that because the test is beginning in our district this week, it was important to give the Board of Education and the public a little bit of an overview of these assessments. The Start Strong assessments are intended to provide schools and districts with the opportunity to assess students' unique needs at the beginning of the school year and are based on a subset of prioritized prior year academic standards. The Start Strong assessments are being administered in the fall 2021 in place of the NJSLA that was originally scheduled for last spring but was canceled due to the pandemic. Taking this assessment in the fall also meets the New Jersey's federal requirement to the federal Department of Education. The Start Strong assessments are given in English language arts in grades 4 through 10, in mathematics grades 4 through 8, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 courses, and in science grades 6, 9, and 12.
So, Ms. Walden,
Mhm.
that means if you're in Algebra 1 or whatever it said now, you're taking it.
Correct, correct. The results will be reported as such. Students will be scored. Strong support may be needed, some support may be needed, less support may be needed. Those 3 proficiency levels will be reported on the student for the students. Go ahead, Ms. Conway. These results, we are taking these assessments. We're starting on Thursday. We run through middle of October. The testing window closes October 22nd. Teachers will have immediate feedback about their students' performance so that they can start to drive instruction towards those results. We're being told that about 30 days after the window closes, we should have results that are available to be shared with the public. So somewhere around late November, we anticipate receiving the results, and then I will turn those around in some time after that and present those publicly.
So for the parents, will they get like a state printout like we did for the
I
NJSLA?
believe, yes, you will.
Or are you guys gonna?
No,
do
you'll
something
get an
else too?
individualized student score report,
Okay,
but that will usually come in the late fall.
from them,
not-
not from the district or not from the
Correct.
teacher or anything like that.
They come
Okay.
to us and we send them out, but they're a
Okay,
state
but
report.
you're not adding
state
to it, okay.
Developed document. Okay, and I've discussed this in many ways tonight, but an overview here of what we do is that we do a deep dive of this data. We do question is our curriculum in line? Is our instruction in line? Is there something that we are missing? Are we putting too much emphasis on one unit, not enough on something else? Do we have the right courses? Do we need pre-courses? Do we need other personnel to support learning and to support students in different ways? And those decisions then play out in curriculum development over the summer, professional development offerings, professional development opportunities for staff over the summer and throughout the school year. Personnel requests through budget, many different things come into play as we look at this information. Administrators build goals based on this information about moving these targets, right? Improvement in these areas. So we do many different things when we are analyzing this data. We talked about a lot of them tonight throughout the presentation, but here's just an overview slide about that. Okay, Mrs. Kama, you can advance. These are some of the different intervention services that we put in place, that we have in place, so that students, when we see different results, students may be selected for certain programs. Here's just a list of some of those offerings that we provide to our students. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to take any other questions if there are any.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board members at home?
Mrs. Gilman?
So a few years ago, Kelly, you were discussing, you and Jim and Dawn, the possibility of having students who are able to pay for the AP exam, pay for one exam. I proctored the APs for several years, and the test was required all those years, and there were students who zipped through in 15 minutes and put their head down. And I know that, you know, we had discussed internally in our department, you know, how can we motivate students to take the test seriously, especially seniors who've already been accepted and may not need the results of whatever test they're zooming through in 15 minutes for $100. So I'd like to suggest that come up for discussion again as a way to emphasize the seriousness. Of course, students who can afford to take the test would be exempt and would be allowed to take the test, whatever.
I think we'd have to really look at that, because I believe that the free, as Dr. Spankwood said, free and reduced students would receive a fee waiver. Free and reduced lunch students would receive a fee waiver. I do believe we have a population of our district that is not on free and reduced lunch, but also would struggle to pay $100.
And if a student
for
came
that
forward and
exam.
said that, would that be enough to exempt them? from
I think
the,
similarly, where some families do not apply for free and reduced lunch, they would not come forward and say, this is, we would have to discuss it. I'm not saying it's not a good idea. I don't know if money is a motivator for success
No,
on these assessments. I'm not certain that it is.
you're right, but just looking around the room and seeing students with their head down after 15 minutes, I would say, you know, what's going on here?
Right, so
I know how hard that class was, and there's no way he or she could have completed that exam in 15 minutes and now have their head down for the other 2 hours. And it was frustrating.
I think we would,
to me as teacher, and I'm sure it frustrates the AP teachers as well.
Sure.
I'm not sure what the answer
Right,
is.
I know. I wish we had the answer, because I honestly do not believe that money
That
would
not-
stop that student from doing exactly what he or she did. I wish I knew what would stop them, because that would help us here. But we continue to talk to our parents. We continue to survey our students. Did you want to say something, Dawn?
I do.
Go ahead.
It's interesting, you know, money, I think you're right, money may not be a factor. However, I know there are schools, not that I know of in New Jersey, but for example, in Chicago, where they pay the fee up front, and then if the student achieves a certain score, they get a $50 refund or whatever that is. Which is
Interesting.
interesting. I don't know if we can do that here,
Mm.
but that is one way that. the
very
$50
creative.
To a high school senior could be something.
Pay them to
I
do
love
well.
You know, but I
Right.
just wanted to throw that out.
But they would
there.
have to-
There are
That's
schools
interesting.
that do that.
Well,
Dawn, maybe, are there any surrounding districts that require their students to pay for AP?
Yes.
Or
Yes, there
yeah.
are schools that
Lots.
require their kids to pay for AP. There are other schools where they pay a portion of it. The student pays a portion and the district picks up the rest. you know.
And usually
there are
then-
schools like us that pay the
Right.
full fee.
And then usually in those cases, though, if the student is paying, they're not required to take the test
Correct.
because they are paying. We can require that our students take the test because we pay, right?
Because you're paid.
Correct.
And tying incentive to a score in some way is very difficult because
I
for,
get it. I'm just saying.
yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I just,
Creative.
for some kids, a 2 is a
Something different.
great score for that child. For some
And I just
kids,
wanna-
being there and getting the 1 is a major accomplishment. So tying incentive to a score is I think a very slippery slope that's tough.
But isn't the incentive to get college credit for a lot of kids? So that's an incentive too, and to save $2,000 on a class.
Well,
So that's the
exactly,
same kind of
yeah.
argument.
Yeah,
That's why I
right,
took
but
AP.
that's down, that's down the line, right? But,
More money.
Right.
yeah.
You know, I just want to refocus this conversation. I understand that we'd love to see the AP scores go up, but I really don't want the AP scores to be the conversation because participation in AP, just being in the class alone, has an impact on whether or not students graduate within 5 years. There are many studies that show that. Being in an AP and taking the test has an even greater impact, even if they don't score a 3, 4, or 5. And then, of course, being an AP and taking the exam and scoring a 3, 4, or 5 has the greatest impact. But just being in the class alone makes a significant impact. And I think it's so important because when we start focusing so much on the score, we lose buy-in in the participation and how important that participation is. And honestly, that participation is the most important factor for our kids.
And I would agree with that, but let's take an advanced English class. How different is that from an AP class? And a student might achieve higher grades, hence a higher GPA, and the rigor of an advanced class is really almost on a par with the AP class. So do we have a student struggling in the AP with perhaps an 80 average, or do we have a student in the advanced class excelling with a 90 average? And then, factor that into the Spartan Scholar and the National Honor Society, and that student is ahead. And I would agree that sitting in an AP class is probably excellent, but so is sitting in an advanced class.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is that if you were talking to college.
I was just gonna say the same thing. They would tell you differently. A student earning an 80 in an AP class is looked at far favorably by college admission than a student coasting through an advanced class with a 95 average.
Yet the colleges this year were not even taking the SAT.
That's right. Their value on the score has decreased. Their value of the program, of the transcript of the student is where they put their focus, the strength of the transcript. So to Dawn's point, the focus on the scores, it's important. We need to do it. People who sit in offices like mine need to do that deep dive and make more global decisions as to what do we need to do this better. But on the day-to-day basis, we want to encourage participation. We want to support teachers to teach students who maybe have not come up through all of the traditional pathways to that course. And that's, we think, a place where we could do better with some pre-AP courses or looking at the number of meetings of the course, different things like that we will focus on. But college admissions would tell you, and that's been true for probably 10 years now, maybe longer, that they encourage students to put an AP course in their course selection, which is why we've expanded our elective offerings of APs, human geography, 2D art, all of these other courses, psychology, statistics, music theory, all of these things, because our parents and our students want to be in an AP class, and we want to provide them that opportunity. We just have to do something to prepare them better or encourage. I don't even know if we have to prepare them better. We have to encourage them in May of their senior year to bring more energy and effort to the assessment. That's what we have to do. But in the meantime, we're getting them into colleges and we're helping them see success with college, which I believe is a far greater
Right.
goal than an AP score. Not that earning a high AP score is not important. It's just not as important as college success,
Maybe we should tell the seniors after the AP, they don't have to come back to school.
in my opinion.
That could be an incentive, right?
I'm with that. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Kelly. Great job. Thank you.
Ms. Weldon.
Reminder, we're still in the superintendent.
As a reminder, we're still in the superintendent's report, and we have another presentation. Last year, the Dow Avenue, OTES, took part in the Rutgers School Climate Transformation Project, and we received those results. And so Mr. Plesnick, principal from OTES, is here to share those initial results with the board and with the public.
Thank you so much. Good evening. As Dr. Stefankiewicz stated, this evening I will be presenting the results of the Modified Learning Environment Climate Survey that was administered to students, staff, and families in the spring of 2021. Next slide, please. Just a little bit of background on the School Climate Transformation Project. The Ocean Township Elementary School is entering its second year of the SCTP, which is an initiative designed to provide support to our school climate leadership team, which was created this past school year, in developing a positive and inclusive school climate. Our consultant from Rutgers provided support to our SCLT, our leadership team, in administering the survey. And our school leadership team also took part in trainings as well as customized consultations throughout the 2020-2021 school year as part of an overall school climate improvement process that will ultimately lead to the development and implementation of a data-driven school climate improvement plan. Next slide, please. Our school climate leadership team is made up of myself, Kristen Vona, who is our supervisor of special services, basic skills, and preschool through 5th grade, parent representatives, and certified staff members within our school. The New Jersey School Climate Survey is a collaborative effort between Rutgers University and the New Jersey Department of Education. It is designed to collect and analyze objective information from diverse school populations, our students, staff, and parents, for reinforcing positive conditions and addressing vulnerabilities in local conditions for learning within our school. It should be noted that that participation in the survey is encouraged, but it is not required. Next slide, please. So as I stated at the beginning of the presentation, the school climate survey was administered in the spring of 2021. It was a modified learning environment survey due to the conditions last school year. All OTS staff were able to participate, as well as all of our OTS parents and families and OTES students in grades 3 and 4 as per the guidelines of the survey. This first slide is stakeholder summary. So overall, we had 118 students participate from grades 3 and 4. Last year, we had approximately 128 total 3rd and 4th graders. School staff, we had approximately 59 participants. As you can see there, it's broken down into those staff members who provide direct instruction and those who do not. And parents and families overall, we had 56 participants. I can tell you that we have already met this year with our school climate leadership team and have made it a priority to engage more parents and families. It is critical if we are really utilizing this survey to determine school community needs, that we get as much participation from our school community as possible. So we are looking at different avenues. As with everything else, I send everything out in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, but we're really looking to find some unique ways, utilizing social media, connecting with our PTA, to really try to engage parents in participating and helping them to understand how valuable their input is. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the report from our students. So all of the slides are going to look similar to this one. If you look over to the left, You will see the topic areas that were covered: academic engagement and supports, safe and supportive conditions, sense of interpersonal and community connectedness, and social and emotional learning supports. The next column is the overall mean. That was rated from a 1, which is strongly disagree, to a 4, which is strongly agree. Over to the right of that is the overall response distribution. And as you can see there, the majority of the responses fell into the agree or strongly agree ranges. And all the way to the right are the total number of respondents for each topic area. Next slide, please. Here we have students again, but now by grade. So same topic areas, same overall mean distribution, but now you can see grade 3 versus grade 4 students, and then those students whose grade level was not specified, which means that they didn't indicate it when they completed the survey.
Mrs. Paulson, can I ask a question? Sure. Were the topic areas phrased in a positive way so that agreeing means you agree that things are going well?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Yes. Yes. Under each topic area, when students, staff, and parents took the survey, there were a number of indicators. And yes, they were phrased in a positive way. So if they were strongly agreeing,
You agree
they were
things are
agreeing
going
that there was engagement, there was connectedness. Yes. Next slide, please. Okay, this is our survey report for school staff. Once again, we have the topic areas: social and emotional learning supports, safe and supportive conditions, sense of interpersonal and community connectedness, academic engagement and supports, and staff supports. You see there the overall mean for each topic area, as well as the overall response distribution, and total respondents for each area. Next slide, please. Okay, here the results were divided into staff members who do not provide direct instruction versus those who do provide direct instruction. So you can see in some instances, the responses, the overall mean was exactly the same. Others, there was a slight difference. Next slide, please. Okay, here we have our responses from parents and families. And again, really the same topic areas, but the questions the phrases were worded a bit differently. But again, overall mean, overall response distribution, and total number of respondents for each of the topic areas. Next slide, please. Okay, this slide gives us a comparison of all of our participants. So you see the topic areas on your left, and across the top, you have your students, school staff, and parents and families. And it just gives you a comparison of how, of what the range looked like of the overall mean, and underneath each score, the number of respondents in that particular range. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just an activity timeline. So this September, we are preparing for administration of the New Jersey School Climate Improvement Survey. This survey, from what I understand, will be the complete survey. They are going to be utilizing a new platform. So we just received word from our consultant, and we'll be discussing what that platform is going to look like, and how students, staff, parents, and families will be utilizing it to take the survey. From October to December, we will be administering the survey to students, staff, parents, and families. November and December will be the time when our school climate leadership team sits down to really analyze the data and prioritize what our needs are. And in January and March, we will sit down with our team once again and set goals and begin with some strategic planning. We have utilized a lot of the data that are presented here tonight coming into this new school year. So we've kind of started off the school year. We ended the school year with our leadership team really taking a look at what the results were telling us. Although I feel that for the most part, they were positive, there were definitely areas where we need to improve upon. one of the things that we were really looking at was student and staff connectedness, and really starting off this school year with ensuring that every student in our building is connected to at least one adult or has a strong relationship, a strong bond with one adult in the building. So we sat with our SEL committee today, and we've been having discussions with our school climate leadership team to sort of determine how to best come up with a plan. We're going to try to implement something during our faculty meeting to just really make sure that every single child in our school has a positive connection and a supportive connection with a staff member in the building, because that's really a priority. The other thing that really came out of this is, just really shining a light and focusing on our relationship with the community, with our parents, how to reach them, how to ensure that they know how to reach us, with things like this, and really with everything that we're doing. I can tell you that over the past, school year and coming into this school year, I've had a number of parents reach out to the building, knowing that I speak Spanish and that I speak Portuguese, and asking questions. And I think they're starting to feel more comfortable. I would hope that they are feeling more comfortable with the fact that, if they have a question, they can just call and they can ask, they can come to the school, and we are really hoping that that will encourage more parents to participate in things of this nature in our PTA, in all the programs that we have going on throughout our school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
have
Ms.
one
Tallarico
question.
actually has a question at home. Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Tallarico.
I was just wondering what the percentage of the respondents were in comparison to, the overall number of students and families in the school.
For the students specifically?
Yes.
So we had about 118 students respond. And last year in our 3rd and 4th grade, we had about 128 total students.
So almost full participation.
So it was almost
Students
full
level.
participation. And it was not required. The students they completed it in school. We had some students who were on remote who were able to complete the survey at home. But I think, I was happy with those results that we, almost had all of our 3rd and 4th grade students participate.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little confused. So the survey report comparison where you have 52 respondents, that's of the 118, or is that something different?
No, I think that's maybe either
That's
family or
parents.
faculty or staff rather.
So if you're looking at the stakeholder summary,
I'm looking at number 12, the survey report comparison, where it says there's 52 respondents, 49 respondents, 56 respondents of the test.
so in some
survey?
instances, so this is in the comparison, it's breaking it apart by topic area and questions. So it's possible that every student did not answer every survey question, did not respond to every single one.
Okay, because the parents and families also came back with like a 49, 56, 52. So
Yeah.
that's out of the 118, you're saying?
That
I'm
is.
just trying to understand. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so if you're looking at the first topic area, a sense of interpersonal community connectedness, and you're going across to students. So in that topic area, where the students' overall mean was 3.10, overall respondents was 117 out of the 118 that answered, but that is out of the total of 128 3rd and 4th graders. So one of those 3rd and 4th graders did not answer this question.
And only like 10 didn't take it the whole
And
thing. at
10
all.
did not
So
take
that's-
it at all.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's great. That makes sense.
How many parents and families had an opportunity to take the survey?
All parents and families had an opportunity to take the survey. Only 3rd and 4th grade students had the opportunity to take it, but all parents and families.
Do you have a ballpark on how many, like 300?
So last year, we had approximately 380 students. So parents and families of all of those students were able to take the survey.
And how did we communicate the opportunity to take the survey to the parents?
So initially, it went out email in English. So there was a School Climate Transformation Project provides us with correspondence that goes out to the parents with the link to complete the survey. We pretty much just kind of tweak it. with our school name and, you know, any other specific information, contact information within the building. But there is already a letter that is prepared that goes out to parents. So that went out in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and that went out email, and then we typically send things out hard copy as well, just in the event parents are not seeing it on email.
And I'm the only mom on the board that took it. And I'm trying to remember what some of the questions were. But there weren't just 4 questions, right? Weren't there, those are like categories?
These are just categories.
Yeah, okay.
Under
There's
each
been a lot of
topic
survey.
area, there are a number of questions. So I would say they gave us an average time of how long it would take to complete, approximately 20 minutes. I think it took most of our students about 20 minutes to complete it. Parents and families, probably 15 minutes to a half hour, you know, it depends.
Like 5 minutes.
Did it take?
Yeah.
Okay, and it did go out in different, they were able to take it in different languages as well.
At first, when I saw the 52, I was like, oh, that's not a lot of parents. But I just, even before you got here, maybe it was the strategic one from 2 years ago. There were like 20 parents at Dow that took a survey. So to me, while that looks like, oh my gosh, only 52 parents took this, and it was the whole school, not just there in the 4th grade. I think that's a successful build over what we've
So
seen in the past.
I will say
So
that
I'm
initially,
happy with that.
parents had, I think it was about a week to complete the survey. As we got closer to the end of that week, our consultant shared with us the number of respondents, students, staff, and families. So when we saw the number of parent and family responses was so low, I actually asked her to give us an extension, and we opened it up for another week just to see if we could garner some more participation. What she did say to me at the end of all of this, after the 2-week process, is that she works with several school districts, some larger than ours and some about the same size as ours. And she said that the number of respondents that we did receive, parents and families, was actually quite high compared to other districts, which is still not enough, clearly. But she said it was, you know, as a result of many things, it was a difficult year. But the results that we got back, she said, were actually quite high.
Are we doing anything? So I hear what you're saying, and you know, they're the experts on that survey.
Sure.
But I don't really think 15% participation of parents is
Agreed.
a success.
Agreed.
So what can we do? I don't know the parameters of the survey. So can we do anything different? Have they provided anything to make your efforts, like to help you be more successful in getting responses? Because I imagine there's some constraints that you have, right?
Sure. So we have not had that initial meeting with our consultant yet. We have just met with our internal school climate leadership team at OTS that we formed last year. So we have tried to start brainstorming. You know, a lot of parents look at Facebook, they look at social media. There's only so much information we can provide through those avenues, but we can provide, you know, time periods, the survey is out, you know, please make sure that you participate, your input is valued. You know, we can try to put more information on our webpage. Only so much information can be just put out there. You know, the specific letters, I'm sure will go home again, because that's kind of the format that they use. Those letters will still go home. We'll send them email. We'll try to send them hard copies, but the parents really need to see them via email, because there are links that they need to enter in order to actually complete the survey, because it is all online. So
And
we
a
are
lot of
trying to
time,
brainstorm.
I'm sorry, a lot of times they don't want, like, you have to be very careful about the links going
Right.
very public because.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
so
Yeah,
it's-
so then people that, you know.
The other people from the school may
Right, right, right.
take it, right, skew the data.
That's why I was asking if they gave.
But I
you
agree.
more,
I mean,
they're
we have
giving
to-
you tools to help increase participation.
I'm sure that is definitely going to be part of the conversation as we prepare for this next administration. And I'm hoping that whatever there is apparently a new platform that we've been told that they're going to use. So perhaps that will help the process.
Okay.
But it's definitely a priority and something that we are certainly focusing on.
I think what's going to help too is the fact that all of our schools will be involved. And this will be a district-wide initiative moving forward. I think we can all pool our resources all together and really, work with the PTAs, work
Right.
with, I'm actually meeting with the PTA presidents Thursday morning. This is
Yeah.
going to be a topic to,
Right.
talk about how we can increase that participation, so.
Yeah, and our PTA has been great about really any information that we've been
Right.
disseminating this year. And I think for me, it's also kind of relationship building. So last year, because it was my first year just getting to know the PTA and the members on the PTA, and this year thus far, information that we have needed to disseminate to our families, the PTA is very open to, I now have set up Remind for my building. They have Remind set up. So we kind of partner to try to get it out in as many different avenues as possible to reach as many different, families as we can.
Good. Well, I think the survey results themselves are positive, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. A lot of work to be done, but good start.
I have a
Thank you
couple-
so much.
I'm sorry, I have a
Oh, no,
couple, just 2 more questions. So I don't even remember what some of the questions were too. So and since we didn't all see them, is there a way to get a copy of the questions? So that the
We
board
probably have to check with Rutgers to see if it's
was
public.
Yes.
proprietary or something?
So it comes in the results that we received. It has the full, like
Wording,
you can
okay.
open up each topic area. So I can certainly ask if that's something that can be shared with
Be
the
shared,
board so that
okay.
you can take a look at it. No problem.
And then my only other observation was, I'm kind of surprised that the parents and the students seem to score the same. Does that surprise you? I would have expected parents to have like certain expectations and the kids, think totally different. But I was pleasantly surprised. Is
Yeah,
that,
you know
is
what?
that
I
normal?
think-
Is that standard?
I think overall, we had a great year. I mean, we did. It was a very different and unique type of year, but in general, I got the sense that, the parents felt supported. I got the sense that our students felt supported. There are things that we need to improve upon this year. But I was not really surprised because I feel like we have a great team. And that we worked really, really hard to make sure that these are the outcomes that we're getting. So I'm proud of these outcomes. And I think this is, as to start off with, a good assessment of what I feel like is happening in our building.
Are we gonna get these parents, Dow parents, gonna get all of this too tomorrow? Or was this the only way to find out these results?
So right now, these results are being shared with the board and I have shared them with our school climate leadership team has received these results also. So we're going to sit down and kind of take a look at them a little bit deeper. Within our school climate leadership team, we have a data team. So when we created the leadership team, everyone kind of has different roles. So because this was administered at the very end of last year, our first meeting with our consultant will probably also be to discuss, how to best, this will definitely be presented to all staff at a faculty meeting, but then how to best get this out to all of our families. And it could possibly just very well be, having this presentation up on our website.
Okay.
For everyone to view. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa. Great job, thank you. And I think that concludes my report. Yes.
Thank you very
Far
much,
from the
Dr.
longest one I've ever.
No. Mr. John School Business Administrator's Report,
For the last
swan song.
My last one, I only have one item, and it's just an update on our free and reduced lunch counts in the beginning of the year. And happy to say we are up. We're up 10. We're up to 806 approved applications from 796 last year. It doesn't sound like a lot, but understanding the process where the first 31 days of the year is called the grace period. So no one comes off of free and reduced lunch from the prior year until 31 days into the school year. And looking at the number of students from last year that were in the grace period was over 400. And the number of students in the grace period this year is down to 243. So really what that means is we will have less students falling off if they don't, after that grace period. So it's kind of premature for the numbers because you can get a much better look after the grace period. But I can tell that some of the things that we've done, and then also, of course, the PEBT, the financial incentive by the state has helped. Absolutely. You can't, that's people realize that, there are dollars from the state to apply for this. And so that has really helped us. So to keep our numbers higher than they've been especially over this past 18 months where food has been free. And so that makes it more difficult to encourage people to sign up for the free and reduced. And just to know financially, these applications mean a lot to the district when it comes to IDEA, NCLB or ESSER funds and all the federal funds. NCLB, I guess I'm dating myself, right? Sorry, Kelly. Right. So that's all that concludes my report.
Oh. All right. Thank you, Mr. John. Moving along. The following are a series of motions to be read by the committee chairpersons. All motions have been discussed in a recent public work session. Some motions have been approved at a public work session and the minutes for the approved items are posted on the district website. At this point in the meeting, we will now conduct the first of two public comment sessions. The first session will be open for public comment on agenda items only. The second session will be at the end of the meeting and can be on any topic. Would anyone from the public like to comment on any agenda item at this time? Anyone who's here with us today like to make a comment or ask a question? All right. Ms. Conway, is there anyone? I see there's a few folks in the queue, but I think I've lost track of the order. If you could get us started.
Yes, our first commenter for agenda items is Carolyn Stack. Please go ahead.
And just as a reminder, if you can state your name and address at the beginning, that would be appreciated.
Sure. Hi, Carolyn Stack, 612 Off Avenue, Oakhurst. I am speaking on agenda item 9.7. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of a number of parents of Miss Tina Conti's second grade class at Ocean Township Elementary School. As I'm sure you're all aware, Miss Conti is an extraordinarily special teacher. In the past 2 weeks that our children have been in her class, they have really fallen in love with her and come home singing her praises pretty much on the daily. She is an amazing asset to the Township of Ocean School District. But what you may not know is that 6 out of the 13 children in her class this year also had their first grade teacher abruptly taken from them last year, only a few weeks into the school year with little to no notice. Our children are already dealing with what I think many would say has been a traumatic 2 years of elementary school. Please remember that these second graders had to finish their kindergarten year fully remote. To pull their teacher just weeks into this school year seems honestly a little cruel and unnecessary. We really do wish Miss Conti nothing but the best. She will be amazing in this new position. Absolutely no doubt about that. But we are requesting is that the administration and the Board of Ed take into consideration the impact and well-being of the students when they decide when and how this transition should take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stack. I'll ask Dr. Sefingowitz, I'm sure you're somewhat limited in what you can talk about here, but if there's anything you want to share with the staff or the other parents of that classroom.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we will work with Ms. Lepuznik will, assuming that the board makes all its approvals tonight on the recommendations, Ms. Lepuznik will work with Ms. Conti and the parents on a smooth transition that makes sense and has the least amount of negative, impact on the kids and we feel confident that we'll be able to transition the students well. Unfortunately, these are things that happen sometimes in a school district in a school year that we have to replace people within the year. And of course, we'll do our very best to make sure that transition is as smooth as possible.
Thank you, Dr. Sefingowitz. Thank you, Ms. Stack. Ms. Conway, who's next in the queue?
Our next commenter is Sandy Abdelaziz.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Hi, Sandy Abdelaziz, 30 Dune Road in Wayside. I just had a couple of quick comments and then I have a question for Ms. Weldon. The SAT, I missed the slide when she said the scores, but I heard that we were better than, I think, nationally and not as good as New Jersey. I can't remember, I might have that backwards. But anyway, I just want to let you know that I tutor SAT, and most of the colleges, except for a couple of the states, are making it SAT optional for class of 2020, 21, and 22. So what I'm finding when I'm tutoring these kids is they're really not putting the effort in that they really need to, because they know that the college they want to go to is optional and they're not going to report the scores. So I don't expect you to have a good rendition of how their scores are until the colleges start making them, mandatory again. Just want to make that statement. I also thought those AP scores were very, very low. I've seen them better, but my thoughts are that the remote learning and the whole, like Ms. Weldon said, the hybrid in, out, remote, it really messed up with a lot of the AP classes last year. My question for Ms. Weldon is regarding the science 12th grade, I think it was called Start Strong test. First off, is it mandatory that they take it? And secondly, what do they expect to get out of this from seniors who had biology in 9th grade and chemistry in 10th grade and physics remotely in 11th grade? And, probably most of them aren't even taking science right now. A good chunk of them aren't, because it's only required for, I think, 2 or 3 years for graduation. So what do they plan on getting out of this? I could see testing 11th graders in it, but I don't get the 12th grade aspect.
So I believe it's twofold. For students who are in science classes, it would give those teachers immediate feedback on skills the students may be missing so they can tailor instruction. And secondly, it meets a federal requirement that the New Jersey Department of Education must meet.
Okay, so in my humble opinion, if you're in 12th grade and you're still taking science, you're probably taking an AP class. So I don't think any 12th graders would be taking straight physics. They've already taken chem, they've already taken bio. They might be, I think environmental is even AP. So they're taking AP classes. So there's no way that the teacher is going to backtrack in an AP environment when they have a set curriculum that they have to meet for that May test.
We must administer this assessment to 12th grade science, to students in 12th grade in this subject of science. We have to administer this assessment. We're
I
required
get
to
that.
do so.
Is it all 12th graders or just 12th
Yes,
graders?
it's
in
all, I'm
science?
sorry, I did say that. The way I said that was confusing. All
Yeah.
12th graders must take this assessment in science. We're required to administer it.
It's not a graduation requirement,
It is not.
so they don't have to take it, correct?
We must administer this assessment to all 12th grade students.
Okay, no, I know, I've been there for park, you guys all know me, I was there for the park stuff, and I'm a 12th grader, so I'm not there for the NJSLA, so, okay, I just wanted to get that clear. I
Makeup
wasn't sure
testing will
why.
go on until October 22nd.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure why they were doing 12th and not 11th, it just didn't make sense to me. They're not gonna get any substantial information out of it, because the kids had science so long ago, most of them.
Well, it's across the state.
Okay,
You
all
know,
right.
just one high school with one scheduling, structure. So it is a state assessment that we must administer.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Conway, who's next in the queue?
There is nobody left in the queue, President.
Oh, all
Bowles.
right. All right, thank you very much. Mr. Weinstein, approval of minutes.
Thank you, Madam President. So approval of minutes, move to approve the meeting minutes in accordance with Board of Education. Whoa, my screen went way here. With the Board of Education bylaws number 0168, recording of board meeting minutes for the meeting of September 14th, 2021. I get a second?
Second.
Any comments?
Nope.
Ken?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weinstein. Ms. Tortorella, approval of bills.
Move for the approval of the following paid items. The bill list, payroll, employer FICA and DCRP from August 30th through September 21st, 2021. totaling $4,979,612.36, including the attached bill list. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions? Mr. Genre?
Okay, Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Ms. McGovern. Okay. Mrs. Parliamis,
Yes.
Ms. Delarico,
Yes.
Ms. Torello,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
and Ms. Fuller.
Yes,
Okay, the motion carries.
thank you. Mr. Federello as well, Financial Management and Resource Services.
Thank you, Mrs. Fuller. I have 10 items for approval this evening. 6.1. Sorry, 6.1, move to approve the following sorry, why is this awkward? Acceptance and certification of monthly financial reports. The following resolution certifies that budget balances at the end of August 2021 were adequate to pay all remaining obligations of the 2020-2021 school year, and that account groupings required by the state have adequate balances. The board is also certifying that the independent reports of the treasurer and the business office are in agreement as per the below resolution. 6.2, move to approve transfers. The following motion is to transfer monies from one account on the budget to another and provide adequate balances referred to in the first motion as per the below. 6.3, move to approve the following security drills for the month of August 2021. We have fire drills, lockdown, stay in place drill, and tabletop drills as listed. 6.4, move to accept the donation of 4,200 single-use face shields from Globe Scientific, Inc. 6.5, move to accept an additional donation of 300 pieces of 8-ounce University Medical hand sanitizers from Harmon Face Values of Ocean, New Jersey. 6.6, move to approve the donation of 300 supply boxes from Staples for OTES, bringing the total supply boxes donated to 850. 6.7, move to approve the renewal of a 3-year lease from September 1, 21 through August 31st, 2024 with the Chamber of Commerce to rent rooms at the Township of Ocean Administration Building at a rate of $9,792 per year, $816 per month in accordance with the attached lease. 6.8, move to approve the Camp David lease contract at the Township of Ocean Intermediate School for the summers of 2022 through 2026 as per the attached agreement. 6.9, move to approve a 1-year contract modification for the 21-22 school year with Sodexo Food Service Management Company for the addition of the school breakfast program and or after-school snack program at a unit price per snack meal of 60 cents as per the attached. This reflects no increase in Sodexo's management and administrative fee. And 6.10, move to approve the contract with Preferred Home Health Care and Nursing Services of Eatontown to provide a registered nurse to ride the bus to and from school and attend the kindergarten school day with a student at a rate of $52 per hour for 7 hours and 10 minutes per day for the 21-22 school year in accordance with the attached agreement. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Ooh, guys are on fire.
She's really. on it today, so.
Mr. Jenner, any questions, comments, or Mr. Jenner, anything you want to expand upon here?
The one thing I do want to bring up that we have some questions from last week where there was the school breakfast and the after the school snack program. And in going over with the Sodexo, this is something we did last year with the half days. And she's hoping to be able to institute some of the snack program with a lot of the additional after school programs that we have going on this year coming up. So right now she's working, when I say she, I mean Jackie Wagner, of course, our general manager from Sodexo, working with the principals to see where it will work as far as a snack and how and you know where what level. Of course, the snack is still free to the student, and so it's again a Department of Agricultural program, and the contract you see is just will enable us to do that. So She'll be fleshing out the details as to where it's going to be. It will be juice, milk, cereal, chips, healthy chips, fruit, that type of granola bars. There will be that type of snack that will be available for some after-school programs around the district. So that was something the board asked about last week that I want to follow up on.
That's great. Thank you.
Are there any other questions on any other items?
And only for program participants or like kids are leaving to get on their bus,
No,
can
it
they
has to
grab
be-
that?
Has to be in school.
Okay,
Part
okay.
of the guidelines.
Okay.
We're a closed program now, so it has to be in school.
What about Project Extend?
Project Extends, Jackie was looking into that. We're hoping to be able to offer that to them.
That'd be great.
So that would, yes, that would be great. That's a goal.
That's
too.
awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so, any questions? Okay, so it's items, finance items 1 through 10. Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
I don't have a agenda in front of me. Can you tell me which one was the facilities usage for the camp?
6.8 is the lease.
Chamber of Commerce lease is 6.7 and Camp David lease is 6.8.
So I am a yes for everything and I'm abstaining for 6.8, is you're saying is Camp David?
Yes.
I'm waiting on additional information from you, so I'm just going to abstain. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Paralamas,
Yes.
Ms. Telerico,
Yes, for all except 6.8, I'll abstain. Thank you.
Ms. Torello,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
and Ms. Fuller.
Yes.
Okay, the motions carry including 6.8.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrell. Ms. Gilman, instruction, education, student activities.
Yes, Ms. Fuller, there are 6 items for instruction. 7.1, clinical hours, move to approve the request of a college student to fulfill her clinical hours requirements in accordance with the attached memorandum dated September 15, 2021. 7.2, clinical practice, move to approve the request of a college student to fulfill his clinical practice requirements in accordance with the attached memorandum dated September 15, 2021. 7.3, move to approve the attached memorandum dated September 15, 2021, RE staff professional development activities in accordance with District Policy 6471 and NJAC 6A:23A-7. The attendance at said activities is fiscally prudent and will promote the delivery of instruction and or further the efficient operation of the district. 7.4, settlement agreement. Move to approve a settlement agreement and release for student 21-22, number 1. 7.5, out of district. Move to approve out of district private tuition for the 2021-2022 school year in accordance with the attached memorandum dated September 17, 2021. And 7.6, HIB. Move to affirm the following harassment, intimidation, and bullying incident summary reports for the 2021-2022 school year. The reports were previously provided to the board by the superintendent of schools. The board has reviewed the reports and affirms the superintendent's report. Report number 1, August 10th. Report number 2, September 21st, 2021. That's my report. May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Okay, Ms. Beal,
Yes.
Ms. Gilman,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes to everything, but I'm abstaining from 7.4 and 7.6 because I actually missed it in the exec meeting, so I don't feel qualified to vote, so abstaining for 7.4 and 7.6.
okay, Ms. Paralamas,
Yes.
Ms. Telerico,
Yes.
Ms. Torello,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Fuller.
Yes.
Okay, the motions carry.
Thank you, Ms. Gilman. Moving on, negotiations. In Ms. McGovern's place, I will take this evening. We're happy to report that we've reached successful agreements with all of our associations. I want to thank the negotiations committee, thank Ms. McGovern for chairing. and everyone who participated. Thank the leadership, Mr. Riley, and the leadership of all the associations for working so well with the administration, with the board to come to these agreements. We'll take a vote on this now. Ken, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add about the specifics of this, or we'll just go to the vote. So I'll make a motion.
Jim, wants to-
Is there anything you want to say?
I just, real quick, I just think it's a testament to the hard work of both all the associations, the teachers, the administrators, the Board of Education to basically reach many of these agreements on time. Even though we're into the new school year, that was purely for ratification. We reached these agreements very early, where many school districts are many months and years out. I think it speaks to the positive collaboration that we share with our associations and the board. So it's a great thing, I think.
All right, so let me actually read this. 8.1, move to approve the memorandum of agreement between the Township of Ocean Board of Education and the Township of Ocean Education Association for the years 2021, 22, 22, 23, and 23, 24, and subsequent salary guides. 8.2, move to approve the memorandum of agreement between the Township of Ocean Board of Education and the Township of Ocean Bus Drivers Association for the years 2021, 22, 22, 23, and 23, 24, and subsequent salary guides. And 8.3, move to approve the memorandum of agreement between the Township of Ocean Board of Education and the Township of Ocean Administrators Association for the years 2021, 22, 22, 23, and 23, 24, and the subsequent salary guides. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
I'm
Mr.
sorry, can
Donovan?
I just want to add one thing that the bus drivers, for each of the associations, we have the memorandum of agreement, which is basically the language, and then the salary guides, which is how the salaries fall. In the case of the bus drivers, we are approving the language. The guides are not yet ready. So that will be on the next meeting for the bus drivers. So just so when you see that coming, but everything else was ready. So we tried to get everything together, but we did the best we could. So the drivers are still finalizing the guides, and that will be coming at the next meeting.
But we can still vote on them.
Yes, we're voting on the agreement, and then the guides will come next. Everyone else has both the language and the guides. This, for the bus driver, we're just doing the language, and next meeting will be the guides.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman,
Yes to 8.2, I recuse myself from 8.1 and 8.3.
okay, Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Ms. Parlamas,
Yes.
Ms. Talarico,
Yes.
Ms. Torello,
Yes.
Ms. Weinstein,
Yes to 8.2, and I'll recuse myself from 8.1 and 8.3.
and Ms. Fuller.
Yes,
Okay, the motion's carried.
thank you. And thank you again to everyone who participated in this process. Moving on, personnel, Ms. Parlamas.
Yes, I have 10 motions this evening. First, I'd like to move to approve that contracts be issued to the following people as listed below. 9.2, move to approve for the 21-22 school year, the following staff members as teachers in the after-school detention program at the high school. 9.3, move to approve for the 21-22 school year, the following staff members as teachers in the after-school detention program at the intermediate school. 9.4, move to approve Dale Gordon, an instructional assistant, to shadow a high school student to after-school extracurricular activities. 9.5, move to approve an unpaid family leave of absence for Joshua Thompson, math teacher at the high school for the period of October 12th through November 7th. 9.6, move to approve that revised contracts be issued to the following instructional assistants and bus aides retroactive to September 1st, 2021, as listed below. 9.7, move to approve that revised contracts be issued to the following people as listed. 9.8, move to approve the resignation of Manuel A. Sanchez Ramirez, computer technician level 1, effective October 1st. 9.9, move to approve the central administrator's office contracts for the 21-22 school year. as listed below, and they are for Ms. Weldon, Mr. Generone, and Ms. Zona. And 9.10, move to approve contracts for non-affiliated employees within the following job categories: central office, non-affiliates, security, technology, and the transportation department for the 21-22 school year in accordance with the attached list as listed below. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Generone?
Okay, Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman,
Yes to all but 9.9, I recuse myself.
okay, Ms. Hayes,
Yes to all, but 9.7, I recuse myself.
okay, Ms. Paralamas,
Yes.
Ms. Telerico,
Sorry. Yes to all except 9.7. I would have liked to have seen the SEL coach, a licensed mental health clinician, so it's no for the SEL coach, yes for everyone else.
okay, Ms. Torello,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes to all except for 9.9, well, I'll recuse myself.
and Ms. Fuller.
Yes.
Okay, the motions carry. Yes, they all carry.
Thank you, Mrs. Paralamas. Moving on, public relations, Mrs. Talarico.
We have two items to move for approval tonight. 10.1 professional development activities, move to approve in accordance with district policy 6471 that board members attend the New Jersey School Board Association virtual workshops October 26th through 28th, 2021, as per the link below. The group rate is $900 for the Board of Education and Administration, up to 25 people. The following board members may attend virtually: Mrs. Shawanda Beal, Ms. Janice Fuller, Mrs. Irene Gilman, Ms. Alex Hayes, Mrs. Amy McGovern, Mrs. Denise Parlamas, Mrs. Grace Ann Tallarico, Mrs. Natalie Tortorello, and Mr. Jeffrey Weinstein. And 10.2 sponsorship program, move to approve the 2021-2022 sponsorship program participants in accordance with board policy number 9720 as follows. Note, this program will raise approximately $10,500 gross proceeds for the 2021-2022 school year. Mr. Gyro.
Okay, we just need a second.
Second.
Now, technically, I know some of you have been through this before. Technically, when you're voting for 9.1, 10.1, I'm sorry, you're not supposed to vote for yourself. But I think as my last meeting, I think we all understand that. I'll just note that in the minutes. If anyone has a problem.
You're such a member. Your last, member for your last day.
Mrs. Beal.
This QSAC report.
Yeah, we don't care about it.
This is your QSAC report, Karen.
Doesn't matter.
We'll note that
Person
for
that seconded
QSAC.
it is in the,
Mrs. Gilman,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes,
Okay.
we
That's-
don't have to say except for myself.
Yeah, that's, Ms. Paralamas,
Yes.
Ms. Talarico,
Yes.
Ms. Tortorello,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
and Ms. Fuller.
Yes.
And the motion's carry.
Thank you, Mrs. Talarico. Old business. Is there any old business from the board?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman.
Just wondered, and because all the principals are here too, and Jim, you had said you would look into a follow-up on the instruction for that first day, the keynote speaker. Did anybody survey the staff and see the results? Do we have anything?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen results yet, but I know that all the surveys went out. Some of them didn't go out until after not everybody had done it as of last week's meeting, but I know they have since done it. So I would say certainly by next meeting, we can have, some results for you. Yes.
And when is the next training?
For which?
Well,
with ESS.
That we, yeah.
ESS. The secondaries haven't had the first one yet, so it looks like probably sometime in October. I talked with Dawn today, but they're going to watch the recording of what was done on September for 1st or 2nd, whichever date that was. And then I think it's early November for the elementary schools. First and second week in November for the next round for the elementary schools.
The next.
Yep.
Thank you.
I have two things. One is, I just want to thank Dr. Stankiewicz and Fran for coming out with the notes and meeting minutes and posting the highlights of the meeting. And I want to thank Alex for, stirring the pot on that and trying to get us into that mode. So I thought it looked great. I just encourage people to read it. And although I did not click like, which I probably should have, everybody should click like and look at it in the different venues. I think it's on.
Or love, or emphasize, or, whatever.
And then my last one is that on the next board, the next agenda that comes out, we'll have 33 policies and regulations for us to discuss for that next meeting. Just so everybody has the context, as I'll write an email about this, myself, Grace Ann, and Irene have read through all of them, reviewed all of them, had 6 hours of meetings around them, involved Ken and Jim, so you can all decide how much you want to read them. Be familiar with them if you like it, but there's a lot of pages, and if you type them, if you put them all together, they're about that thick, and so, but they will be there, so feel free to read them if you like, as much as you want. But we went through them thoroughly with Ken and Jim, and I do want to thank both of them and Irene and Grace Ann for all the work that they did on that. So thank you very much.
Can we not have dramatic readings of them at the next meeting? Right? We could act them out. Thank you all. I know how much.
Some
work
policies are
that is.
recognized.
Yes, I know how much. work
But when we
that
see
is.
it, don't be
Thank you.
surprised.
Understood. Is there any other old business?
I do have a couple things. Since Irene just brought up the ESS folks, I think it was the last meeting I brought up that how they have that parent newsletter that's kind of pre-done. Did we reach out to them and are we gonna do that too?
Yes, Jen Zona reached out to them, yes. So I'm not sure what the timeline, but yes, we should be.
Oh, we're gonna get it.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, that's great. I think it was 2 meetings ago, a parent had asked about the mice, I don't know, computer mouse, plural, maybe IT mice, you're supposed to.
The earphones and.
And yeah, headphones, earphones.
Yeah,
So what's the
we-
status of that? And parents, like,
We had spoken to that parent. I think that I think it was a mix up on our end, if I'm not mistaken. I think the list that went out from, the list that went out should not have had that information, but I think a teacher, correct me Denise, a teacher may have sent an older list which did have that, so that was erroneous and should not have gone out. So I did, it came off, right. So I did, we did get back to that parent, so they didn't have to do it. That parent had informed me that they had already bought their earphones, but,
it wasn't just one class in Wayside, though. There were other schools that did it. So what can we tell parents that think they have to go buy headphones
yeah, I
and
mean,
mice?
we have earphones. I mean, we said it that night. We have earphones for all the kids. There's no reason, correct? I mean, there's no reason anyone should have to go out and buy earphones or mice or anything like that.
Okay, so parents should not have to buy
Correct.
headphones, and they won't be reused, like a kid won't be using it in 3rd period and then another kid's going to be using it in 5th period.
They're set as headphones.
Yeah.
Okay,
But they, for the year, they stay in district over the summer.
okay, okay, that's good to know. Okay, yeah, because my daughter her list had it on there. And Mr. General, I haven't asked for an update on the red playground over at Dow in a while. What's the status of that? And I apologize, I haven't even looked when I drop off my daughter, so is it still roped off? Are we getting it fixed?
On all of our playgrounds, the pre-K playground and that piece of the playground, the order's been delayed, so we're hoping within the next few weeks that we will have that and it'll be fully operational.
Okay, that's awesome. And I think that's it for our business. Thank you.
Is there any new business from the board?
I have some new business. Nobody else has new business. Okay. On Monday, I attended the New Jersey School Board Association County Leadership meeting for the state school board. And they talked about, one woman talked about in South Brunswick, in the district this week, they are sending a survey out to parents that said something like, if you're going to be taking your kids to school, you're going to be driving them, and we thought you were going to be busing them, or we were going to be busing them, please let us know, because they were encountering some of the same problems like the high school was having, that all these parents started driving their kids, and there was, the backlog of traffic, and it just kind of, it snowballed. So, and they believe that that's totally going to change a lot of routes, because once they take some kids off bus routes, it might free up some time. And I wasn't the only one, like a lot of people thought that was an interesting idea. And Mr. General mentioned how they're going to be sending out new bus routes. Were you going to be doing that just for the pre-K folks? Because that one mom who asked, I think I was in the.
Yeah, that was just for pre-K.
So just for pre-K. So
And I don't think it was new routes. I think it was just an adjusted anticipated drop-off
It's
time.
just the time, right? The time on
reflect reality.
the bus
The
pass.
routes are not
Right.
changing.
okay, so are we going to be revisiting any of the stops?
No.
We're not doing any more tweaking, or do we want to know if parents are going to be dropping off their kids, or?
For the high school?
Yeah, would that affect our buses? I don't
No,
know.
It won't, no. Yeah, it doesn't, I mean,
We don't think that'll help.
eventually it could help us cut down on the number of buses if they're enough. But ultimately, of course, we have a 4-tier system, so we're going from the high school to the intermediate school, so there's no, all it will do will save some, of course, save some gas and some time, but the intermediate school would still start the next, at the same time to get to the intermediate school. So it would just end the high school a little bit earlier. So it would not do anything now.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. And then I also wanted to invite the entire board on Tuesday, the 28th, the Monmouth County School Board Association, having in-person or online 6 p.m. dinner. Obviously, that's not online, or 7 p.m. the meeting starts. It's school board meeting for the county. If you need any information on that, I'm happy to share it with you. And that's it from me.
Any other new business from the board? At this time, we'll move to our second public comment session, which again can be on any topic. Is there anyone in the room who would like to make a comment or ask a question? No. Ms. Conway, is there anyone in the queue at home?
No, not at this time. Unfortunately, Susanna Body had a question, but I do not see her in the attendees at this point. So there are no comments at this point.
All right. Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Adjourned. Thank you.